Hello, everybody. This is Ralph Martin from RJ Quality Consulting. And in this video, I want to talk about corrective action in ISO 17025. Right now, I'm on my blog article that I just wrote, Corrective Action in ISO 17025, Ensuring Laboratory Compliance and Quality Management. And if you don't know me, my name is Ralph Martin, and I am a certified ISO 17025 auditor and quality professional. I've been involved in quality management for over 30 years, and I am also the owner of RJ Quality Consulting, and I offer quality consulting for quality management systems such as ISO 17025 and ISO 9001, AS 9100, and a plethora of other standards. And really, what I offer to my customers is since I am a certified auditor, I give a unique perspective in that I know what the auditors are looking for, and I do help small businesses and laboratories obtain ISO accreditation or certification depending on the standard. I do specialize in ISO 17025 and ISO 9001. And one of the advantages of going with my consulting company is I am just one person. I'm not a big quality consulting company, so I can offer more value at a lower cost. So if you've been searching around the internet for consulting companies, you probably may have been a little price struck. But I offer a free consultation service. So below this video on my blog page, you'll notice that you can book a 45-minute free quality consultation with me, and I would be happy to address whatever it is you are looking for. That being said, let's go on to talk specifically about corrective action in ISO 17025. If you want all the details of the blog article, if you're watching this video on YouTube, just click the link in the description box and it'll take you to my blog article and you can read about all the details. Or if you're watching this video on my blog article, feel free to read. I will address the requirements in the standard. If you've seen other videos of mine, you know that I go directly to the standard and I look at the requirements of the standard and show you specifically what the requirements are and how to prepare for an audit in the appropriate section that we're talking about. What is an auditor going to be looking for when they audit your corrective action process, for example? What kind of documentation, things like that. And so without further ado, what I'd like to do is go to the standard. I'm on the ISO IEC 17025 2017 version of the standard, section 8.7, that addresses corrective action. Basically, this is a shall statement, meaning if you've been following into my videos, I really try to hone in on shall statements because in an audit situation, a shall statement means you shall have whatever it is the standard says you shall have. If not, you usually will end up with a nonconformance from an auditor. So when a nonconformity occurs, the laboratory shall react to the nonconformity and, as applicable, take action to control and correct it and to address the consequences. You'll notice in the ISO 17025 standard, there are two areas where the standard deals with nonconformities. One is section 710, nonconforming work, and one is section 87, corrective action. And there is a reason why there are two different sections of the standard addressing nonconformities. They are different. So I do have another video on section 710. ISO 17025 nonconforming work, and you can get into the details of that. But in this video, I'll also explain a little bit of what the differences are between the two. So basically, the idea of a corrective action is that you try to address the root cause of the problem, meaning that yeah, you could fix the problem and get get the issue taken care of or take care of any immediate actions that need to happen so that you can send data to the customer. and that's like a containment type of thing. But a corrective action is really necessary when your problem has the potential to recur again. And that is the difference between non-conforming work and corrective action. If something goes wrong in the lab and it's a one-off and there's no real evidence that the problem could recur, then we deal with it as non-conforming work as talked about in section 710 of the standard. If there is reason to believe that the problem could recur, unless we address the root cause of the problem, then we would be looking at section 8.7 of the standard. And the difference now will be going to 8.71b, which is evaluate the need for action to eliminate the cause or causes of the nonconformity in order that it does not recur else or elsewhere that it can occur. So, if you have a calibration problem in one area of the lab, and it looks like if you don't address the problem, you could perhaps have that same problem can occur in another area of the lab on a different instrument, for example, then that would be something that you'd want to address, to review, to see if the cause of the nonconformity, unless you address it, would have the potential to recur somewhere else or recur in the same area. And then once that root cause is determined, you would move on to C, which is implement any action needed to address that root cause, and then implement a corrective action, and then update any risk and opportunities determined during the planning. So what that means really is that when you implement a corrective action, if there are any risks that you have to address while you're implementing that corrective action, you want to identify those risks and then mitigate that and then document that. So the other part of the corrective action process, besides 872, which is the corrective action shall be appropriate to the effects of the nonconformity encountered. In other words, the corrective action that you implement needs to address the problem statement of the original nonconformity. Those two things need to be in alignment with each other. So if you have a problem stated on your corrective action form, and your corrective action doesn't address the problem, then they're not in alignment with each other. And that's what 8.7.2 is referring to. You want to make sure that the corrective actions are appropriate to the effects of the nonconformity that was encountered. I oftentimes see corrective action documents where the problem statement and the corrective action are not in alignment with each other. And if that happens, usually what ends up happening is the same problem recurs. You haven't prevented the problem from recurring because you didn't address the root cause of the problem, and the corrective action wasn't in alignment with the problem itself. You'd be amazed how often that happens. The other part of the requirement of Section 8.7 is records. So what is an auditor looking for when they're auditing your corrective action process? Well, what they're looking for is a form of some sort or a document that you are showing evidence or records that you have the nature of the nonconformity written down with the subsequent actions taken, documented, and the results of that corrective action. Was the corrective action effective? Did it address the problem? And that is really what you would see in records, other than oftentimes an accreditation body will ask you for a corrective action log. Like, give me all of your corrective actions that you have encountered since, say, the last audit or the last management review or the last time we were here. And typically what you would want to do besides the individual corrective action record is to have a corrective action log where you list your corrective action record, say in a spreadsheet or something like that, where you would list like the corrective action ID number, maybe just a general statement of what the problem was, when did you open it, and when did you close it, or is it still open? Like, what's the status? So you would want to put these records in some sort of log. So now your corrective action records consist of individual corrective actions, and then also another record where you have a corrective action log. This is something that accreditation bodies typically want to see in advance, like 30 days before the actual audit. You'll oftentimes accreditation bodies will say, we want this, we want your copy of your internal audit report, we want a copy of your management review records, we want copies of the most recent corrective actions. That's very typical for accreditation bodies to ask for that in advance. If you are a laboratory that is seeking ISO 17025 accreditation, these are the kinds of things that the accreditation body will ask for in advance before they even come out and do an audit. So you want to make sure, number one, you have a corrective action process in place, meaning you have like a procedure or some kind of process. The standard does not require a corrective action procedure, although it does require a non-conforming work procedure. Section 710 is one of the 9 required procedures under ISO IEC 17025. So you might want to go watch that video. But before we end this video, I'd like to take you up to section 710, which is non-conforming work. And you can get into the details of that in my other video explaining this section in detail. But I want to focus on section 710.3. When it talks about non-conforming work, like when an oops happens in the lab, you get a bad result and you have a non-conforming work. But when you evaluate that non-conforming work, and as you see in section 710.3, where the evaluation indicates that the non-conforming work could recur, or that there is doubt about the conformity of the laboratory's operations with its own management system, the laboratory shall implement corrective action. And what that means is implement corrective action as it states in section, you got it, H7. That's what they're referring to. In other words, you have a non-conforming work that has a potential to reoccur. Therefore, you want to treat it as a corrective action as stipulated in section 8.7. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for corrective actions. If you have any questions, or again, if you'd like to book a 45-minute free quality consultation with me, somewhere below this video on this blog post is a image where it says you can book a 45-minute consultation with me for free. And I'd be happy to talk to you about what your ISO 17025 needs, or any other standard for that matter. And I'd be happy to talk to you about that. This is Ralph Martin. You make it a great day. Take care.